moving on to De'Aaron Fox, the latest NBA player to pull out of the of Team USA for the FIBA basketball tournament. And I mean, honestly, it just people keep like going on about, oh, this team is awful. This team is, it's the worst, one of the worst teams in history. And
all right, before you even talk about what the team, can I just tell y'all who's on the team, top to bottom?
Yeah, I know. Okay, amount of them.
All right, so we got Kemba Walker, we got Jaylen Brown, Spider Mitchell, Mason Plumlee, Marcus Smart, Harrison Barnes, Kyle Kuzma, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, Miles Turner, Joe Harris, shout out the Nets, and Derek White. So, but continue, JT, about what you were saying about what you think about the roster.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't think anybody actually cared about the FIBA tournament. I mean, this would be an actual story if this was the Olympics, and I feel like these superstars wouldn't have been pulling out of Team USA if it was the Olympics. But since it's FIBA, I mean, who really cares about FIBA? Nobody. I'm sorry, but nobody cares about FIBA. FIBA is more for the European teams and Australia and the Asian
people
teams
trying to get into the league.
Exactly. It's more of a scouting thing, if anything, for these guys that are playing overseas that are like, yo, NBA, I could help your team. Who cares about even if the US like gets blown out? Who cares? It's FIBA. Nobody cares about the FIBA World Cup. We only care about the Olympics. So everybody going on about like, oh, this team is awful. We're not going to do anything. Last time I checked, nobody ever cared about the FIBA. I think it only made headlines because so many people actually pulling out.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it because this is going to be a very important year in the NBA for a lot of guys, a lot of teams. So I understand the mentality of, hey, I don't really want to work my body for Team USA when I got, a chance to make the playoffs and have a title run with my team in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
I guess, but at the same time, I feel like you got to show, I get it. I'm not talking about, it'd be one thing if this was like the NFL, but I feel like for the NBA, I feel like these players, not that they should have more of a sense of patriotism, but I think that they should play. They should want to play because whenever these major players don't play, you have what happens in I'm trying to think. Yeah, 04. I think that's when we lost. When Kobe didn't even play in that, and he was probably the best player in the league.
The worst Team USA team ever.
Yeah, and then that's why everybody was in 08 was like, all right, we all gonna play, and then they smacked everybody.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and also like we have had good FIBA teams go in the past, so like I'm really not mad at it. But also it's like the NBA is at such a higher level that these people aren't scrubs that are going out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely not.
Like people make it seem like they're sending scrubs because you're usually getting the top tier stars, but there's not a whole lot of top tier stars that I would say are in the early part of their career anymore. So it's like for people like LeBron, Anthony Davis, or like people like Kawhi, Paul George, for them to go play FIFA right now doesn't really make that much sense. Especially when you have like this whole youth movement going on in the NBA, you have like the next generation of stars is coming. A lot of them are here. It really just doesn't make that much sense. And at the same time, like they're still like they're gonna go watch teams. Like I didn't know Brooke Lopez is on that. Shout out to Brooke. Like Brooke is gonna cook. You know what I mean? No pun intended. That wasn't a pun, but whatever.
Oh, get him out of here.
Honestly, I don't know what the other rosters on these other teams looking like.
Oh, it's their real rosters.
Yeah, right. I know like Ben Simmons isn't playing for Australia. And I know RJ Barrett, he's not playing for Canada, but
Giannis is playing.
Oh yeah, Giannis is playing for Greece, and he said that he'd rather win the FIBA than win the MVP, and I think he's crazy for that. Whatever, but like John said, it's something about that feeling about winning that teams outside of the countries are playing for. Mm-hmm. This is like their chance to shine and show their stars. But I don't know. Even the young talent, it seems like John said, it's not really a bad team if you look at it top to bottom. Coach Popovich is the head coach
of all time,
right? So you already know that this team is going to be pretty good, and it's a winnable team. Like I just don't know what the other rosters on the other countries are looking like. So
I feel like when Team USA goes to the Olympics and it is the stars, they go play other teams, and outside of Spain, maybe Argentina, and like I guess Australia. Other teams go in knowing they're gonna lose, and they still they play pretty hard, but they don't really go in. I don't think realistically expecting to win, and I feel like now because it's not full of the huge names, these other teams are gonna pull up like, oh, I really have a shot. Like I really have a shot. Like let's go for the next. Like we beat Team USA, and what's gonna happen is they're gonna get down a bit and they're gonna turn up, and that Team USA is still built on players that if one player on that team turns up, the other team's losing.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, this team has all stars. It's not like this team is just a bunch of role players. There's all stars on the team. Brooke Lopez has been an all-star before. Donovan Mitchell has all-star caliber talent. Chris Middleton. Like, all right, and to John's point earlier, I mean, what does it do for like a LeBron James and Anthony Davis, a Steph Curry at this point in their careers? What does playing for FIBA and James Harden? What does playing for the FIBA tournament really do for them at this point? They're not, not to say they're not in their primes, but they're on the later part of their primes as opposed to the beginning part of their primes. So why put extra wear and tear on your body? For a tournament that's not. Yes, I mean it has a little bit of national pride, but like exactly. They have Olympic medals, so why would I want a FIBA medal when I already got like 2 or 3 Olympic medals?
Yeah, JT, but nobody's looking for LeBron or like an Anthony Davis to even play on a team like this. But like, think about how many people dropped. You got the De'Aaron Fox that dropped. John, help me out because there's so many people that
De'Aaron dropped, CJ McCollum dropped, PJ Tucker just dropped.
I'm not surprised at CJ. De'Aaron surprised me a little bit. The fact that PJ was on the team surprised me, to be honest.
Exactly. I didn't even know PJ was on the team, to be honest.
I feel like Harrison is just bored.
Right. But think about the second tier players in the league, and it's just kind of like, like the De'Aaron Foxes, the Miles Turner, the Jason Tatum, those are like the upcoming dudes in the league. But at the same time, I just think that it's good for experience sake, especially because the Olympics is coming up next year. Like I think the energy will be different though when the Olympics come around.
Yeah, I agree. I think the roster is going to be different, but low key, when the Olympics comes around, if Pop just does some real Pop shit, and it's just like, where we off of FIBA, huh? Where we are? I don't want you on the team. Shout out to my son Jalen Brunson for practicing over there. Super had a great rookie campaign. People don't realize should have been
the Temple University killer.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude gave Temple buckets. Oh my god,
bro. He's gonna be like, and he is like already showing. He's gonna be such a good pro, like such a good pro. He had a great season, and if he got more minutes earlier on in the season, like maybe before JJ went down and stuff, even though JJ was cooking off the bench, he definitely would have been on a all rookie second team.
Shout out to them Temple Villanova games, man. Oh my gosh.
So
the Lyric Core Center would be packed out.
So good.
Good times, man.
The last thing I do a little bit, 2 things actually. Do we want to talk about, because it did happen while we were away, the repealing of the Rich Paul rule?
Oh yeah.
Miles, I know you were a resident Rich Paul expert on that. Got anything?
So the only change that they made to the rule, and it's interesting, is that the master's degree part. I mean, not the master's degree, the bachelor's degree part, the four-year degree. Mm-hmm. I think it's better because now it's really, I don't want to say anybody can do it, but it's not limited to a certain amount of people that don't have that opportunity to go to college, because you think a lot
it's not as limited to resources.
Right, exactly. Because a lot of times people's family represent them. For as much as Rich Paul represents the high-profile clients that he does, there's a lot of people who can't afford like big-time agents, and you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people's family represent them, and you don't want to just limit that sample size. So I think it's good that they repealed it. But I mean, they only did it because everybody was so critical of it, and they felt like they was targeting, agents like Rich Paul. Mm-hmm. That was getting all these high-profile clients, but
it was hating. It just shows, honestly, the impact that the players have, and the impact that LeBron has, which I think is super dope. And just like an unfair ass rule like that, just have that's a perfect example of using your platform for like, I can't say greater good because this is more basketball centric, but obviously for a greater good than just something that'll directly affect him, which is super dope. And just LeBron adding on to his resume outside of basketball, which is amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, my GOAT for basketball is obviously Michael Jordan, but I would say like the greatest, like the basketball player with the greatest impact with when it comes to social issues in society, like LeBron, man, he does so much.
Yeah, it's not
And
even close.
it's not. And the fact that he really spearheaded this rule getting changed, and with the reaction that he had, it had media outlets everywhere talking about it, like, oh, like the rich poor, like they were literally dubbing it the rich poor rule after LeBron had tweeted that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just has that impact, and I'm happy that, you know, he just doesn't shut his mouth and just play ball. Like he calls out the BS when he sees it. That's why he's so respected in all realms, not even just on the court, but off the court.
For sure. JT, you got anything on that?
I mean, no, not really, y'all. Miles pretty much hit the nail on the head there. You know, I think it's. I will say though, I think if it wasn't for the amount of public backlash, and I think the time that we live in now, if this was done like 15 years ago, it'd still be a thing. But I think because of the whole public backlash, Twitter, social media support, I think it really helped in repealing it.
I got you. I agree. All right. So the last thing I want to mention a little bit. This is kind of a little more niche about NBA, but I did see something today. Of course, you know, Mavs related. But it said something about that the Mavs might be willing to trade for Chris Paul if they're in the playoff race, and that the Thunder takes on both Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee's contracts. Now, the reason why I brought this up was not just because it's Mavs centric. You know, in my previous podcast, you know me, diehard Mavs fan. But I'm one person who's super against trading for Chris Paul. I'd rather have those two bad deals, which still aren't, you know, worth as much than Chris Paul's deal. But the reason I want to bring it up is just I don't think he's movable. But do you guys think it would happen? Where do you think he would go if it did happen? What do you guys think?
JT, I'll let you tackle this joint first.
Dang. I mean, yeah, I would hold on to, if I was Mavs, I wouldn't do. I'd hold on to those two bad contracts because you never know when you're going to need them from. You could get a better deal from another team, especially around the trade deadline. Dang, I really don't know. Like ever since he got to the, I don't know another landing spot for him would have been.
Dude, his contract is so unmovable. I'm surprised they were even able to get him to the Thunder.
And I'm trying to think about teams that need a point guard, and the teams that need a point guard either don't have the cap space or they're just kind of building up their own young players as it is. I mean, he's pretty much just in a limbo at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the point guard, something like that happening to him.
So now I'm gonna disagree with you, JT. I think that maybe if the Mavs did acquire that contract, it's a bad contract. But Chris Paul is a Hall of Fame point guard. What does the Mavericks have to lose from that? You know, dudes like Luka, dudes like Porzingis. Even though Chris Paul isn't a winner per se, like he's still
and his personality is grating.
Yeah, that's also true. But what can't Luka or what can't Kristaps learn from a dude like that?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
I'm listening.
It just seems like I think if the Mavs were like right there, like if the Mavs were like, all right, we're like one piece away, I would definitely pull the trigger on it. Like, all right, Chris Paul would be like the missing piece.
Yeah.
But at this point, you know, I still think, you know, you're just going to eat up all that cap space just for nothing, basically. I mean, yeah, he could teach, you know, Lucas some things, you know, and Brunson.
I will say that they said his contract would come off the books the same time Luka's eligible for a max. And like I said, that is shedding two contracts, so you're also opening up a roster spot, I guess. But I agree. Like the intangibles you're gonna get are so much, but also it's like you got to think about personalities. You really want to do that. And you got to think this is someone who's going to want to be competing. So if he's not competing for a championship, you know, that could end up being a little more toxic.
So you feel like Chris Paul is a cancer, basically?
I don't want to say cancer because I do feel that in the right situations, he would it would do great. I just feel like I always felt like his Houston pairing was doomed to fail. Honestly, I would put Chris Paul in the Knicks. Before, you know, they have 15 power forwards, and if you want to have your young people being taught how to be a pro, and because they're young, they would actually listen. You know, that's not a bad person to have over there.
See, but y'all in a much better position than we are. Like,
oh yeah, he wouldn't. I wouldn't say he wouldn't voluntarily go to the Knicks, but
well, yeah, but Here's the thing. Y'all won 30 games last year. Like, I mean, y'all weren't bad, but I mean, y'all about to get Chris.
If we never made that trade, we probably would have won more games.
Right. Exactly. And my thing is, you put a dude like Chris Paul in there, he give y'all that veteran leadership. Not saying he's gonna go and be what he was in 2007, but he'll definitely, I think he could be good for the locker room.
Oh, for sure.
Him and Harden, I feel like the reason why they fell out the way that they did is because they're both ball dominant. Like Chris Paul used to be being ball dominant his whole career, mind you. Harden is also a very ball dominant guard. So how is it that it could work?
Yeah. I agree, and that's also I felt it was doomed to fail. It just was not built properly. They had the one good run, but it wasn't sustainable. But yeah, like I said, if the Mavs end up being like a 6 seed, I'm all on board on trading Chris Paul. You're trading two pieces that we don't really need, for someone that really can make a difference. Is proven. It's just all it comes down is to how they actually perform next year. So that's what it is. Because and the same thing, like if they're not actually there, like I don't think this is the Rondo trade all over again. Right. I think this would be better than that, and we're not really giving up anything that we'd actually need too much. You know what I mean? Like to Hardaway's whatever at this point. I'm over it. We can listen. Josh Reeves hives. It hurts, to say a Penn State person, but I love his upside. Get him more minutes. Get him on the court, and if you go play defense, Rick Carlisle will get you on the court. I mean, he got Jay Crowder paid, so
this is all true.